Okay, so I'm actually going to do a 2-in-1 PC full video. I've done a couple shorts on this, just kind of showing the end results, but I'm going to do kind of the process this time. I'm going to be using this computer. This was a old server that I just kind of upgraded, and now it's been crypto mining. So I'm going to make it to where I can just take a USB key out and mine with the USB key, take it out, put in an Unraid key, have this turn into a gaming PC, and my kids can play games on it. Then when they're done, and it's during the work week, when they're not able to game very much, I pop another USB key in, back to Hive OS, where it will mine. So this will be a 7V13 CPU, 128 gigs of RAM, and two 3090s. So it should make two pretty good gaming PCs. Okay, so this video actually starts in here, where these are my two current Unraid servers. This one just kind of runs some VM and AI stuff. That one runs my Plex and some VMs as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to install a stream capture card, or a capture card really, so I can capture the video of me doing all the Unraid configurations and stuff with this machine on a Unraid VM. I'm going to pass through all that stuff to make that happen first, and then I'm going to go build the other machine. I'm not sure how much I'm going to capture of this, but this is where it's going to start. Okay, I got the capture card in, and this thing is booting back up. Now I'll go add this to a VM that I currently have. I think I'm going to add this and this. I already have the iGPU in there, so hopefully I'll use the iGPU and this GPU and that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Time to go check it out. Alright, so I have the capture card passed through with this GPU passed through. I had to group them together in the IMMOU groups, and now I'm good. I also have this microphone passed through to the virtual machine. Everything's on this one Gamer One virtual machine on this server, and I can access it with Parsec. So it looks like this. Just kind of give you guys an idea here. Boom, there it is, right? I can open up this EasyLink software, and boom, it records my screen. It has a microphone, as you can hear right now. You can hear the audio playback. So there it is. So now I'm going to shut down this machine, throw a couple hard drives in it, we'll boot it up into Unraid and see if we can get this to work. Alright, so we are now in the Unraid dashboard, so I expect you to kind of have an Unraid server set up already for this to be doing GPU pass-through. And this isn't going to be a perfect step-by-step tutorial, but it's just going to be a quick overview of how I do this. So this is a new server for me. I just grabbed these two drives and added them in. I'm going to format them. So let's format those. So those are now formatting. And done. So those are now formatted. So now I want to go and install community applications. Okay, I understand. Okay, tools. Let's check settings. VM manager. All right, we're gonna download that. This is your Vert.io. This is like all your virtual IO drivers, so we're gonna need those. Okay, and so that'll do its thing in the background. And now, so now we have all of our cores, as you guys can see here. These 64 cores, 128 thread are just so sweet. and 128 gigs of RAM. Alright, so now let's make a VM here. We're going to add a Windows 10 VM. We're going to name this gamer number, or we're just going to name it gamer 02 because I already have a gamer 01. That's the one that's doing the capture right now. I don't want to use this first CPU, so we'll start on the second. And I'll leave these 4 threads right here just for operation. Now I want to make these each, since I have so many cores here, I want to make them each a 24 core, which each one of these dots is a CPU thread, not a full core. So 24 core times 2, that'll be 48. So let's do it. 4, 8, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 12. Okay. We're going to give them each 48 gigs of RAM because I can. All right. CD-ROM bus is going to be that. No, we want one of these to be on disk 1, 750 gigs. And that is all we want at the moment. Create. So we got 48 CPUs, which is really 24. And then we got 48 gigs of RAM and a 750 gig hard drive. All right, let's do another one. All right, so now, after all of that, we want to put a Windows installation on that server. So I need to copy this. 22H, copy that bad boy. Paste it. Okay, so I got my copy of Windows. Now you need to go to your Unraid server, into your shares. You need to go to ISOs and make sure this export is yes and that it's on public. Then you gotta go to your server name. So this one is 7v13. There it is right there. You can see that virt.io that we downloaded. Now we want to put in the Windows. Okay, so as you can see, I got the Windows CD and my virt.io CD in there now in my network, the server name, ISO folder. So now we come back over to the VM1 that we want to do here. We put install OS right here. We're gonna make this hard drive boot order number 2. We're gonna make this ISO boot order number 1, and our virt.io drivers are already automatically detected. So now we should be able to boot this one server up in VNC, and we should be able to start installing Windows. Perfect. So now you go through and install Windows. So and configure your Windows PC. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and I will fast forward through it so I don't bore you guys with installing Windows. But I'm gonna be doing it twice to 2 machines at the same time. So I'm gonna come back over. Get this one. load your drivers from your WinIO right here. So then you can see your virtual hard drive. Okay, so while these two things are installing, I will show you guys once they're installed in Windows a few things I do to make it a lot easier to deal with virtual machines like this. Okay, so we just got to Windows on the first one. So this is what I do when I first get a Windows PC. And it's probably different than what most people think. So what I do is I end up going in here. One of the very first things I do is I come in here and I change the name. Now, something to keep in mind, once you pass through a GPU, you won't be able to use VNC anymore. So I also make sure we're allowed to have a remote. And after all of that, it still won't work unless you have a password. So I always make a simple password, like 123. Doesn't need to be super secure, just something to make the remote work. All right. So now that I have all that set up, I'll come in here, we will install our drivers. You go to your VirtIO CD. This is what you use to install your hard drive drivers on the install. Now you're going to use it to install the rest of the drivers, like internet, USB, all that other stuff. Basically like installing the drivers for your motherboard, but your virtual motherboard, in a sense. Okay, now that that is done, we will do a reboot. And I will do the same thing on this one. All right, so it's back. Let's see if we can get to it. From looks like we found it. Perfect. So now we can get to it through remote desktop, which will allow us to be able to do GPU pass through. All right, so now we want to start doing Windows updates. So we'll go through. We'll have to start doing Windows updates. So it'll be all nice and ready for our pass through. So it's doing Windows updates. We're going to let this do its thing. I'm going to get this one to where it can be doing Windows updates as well. Now number 3 is back on. We will try and connect with that one as well. Got it. All right, so now we're in both machines. And they're both gonna do Windows updates. All right, so we're gonna let those update fully. And once these are updated fully, we'll do the restarts and then we will start passing through the GPU. Alright, so now that we have all of the Windows updates done, we can now close this out, shut this down, and start passing through the GPUs. So once this shuts down, we will shut down also the other one I'm working on. We will wait for these to shut down. And now you're going to scroll down. Now this is assuming you guys have all of your IMMOU and BIOS settings done. Your motherboard mileage may vary. I have some that, you know, if I have 2 GPUs in there, I have to pass through both to the VM, otherwise it freaks out, all this and that. So you know, make sure you have all your virtual machine stuff you need on, and all of the IMMOU groups stuff you need on as well in your BIOS settings. So I'm going to click on the 13090 right here, and the corresponding sound card. Also going to give it a wireless transceiver. This is a keyboard and mouse that I have over there, and I'm going to update this. And let's see if we can get this to boot. Now sometimes they'll error out. Okay. Specify one. Okay. I don't know how that happened. Oh, interesting. These both come in as the same. Okay, we'll worry about the USB later. All right. Looks like it booted. We can check the logs. Looking good. As you guys see, there's no more VNC. So we shall give this a couple of seconds. We will see if we can get back in there with. There it is. All right. So now we have a GPU pass through. Now what we got to do is just like you would normally do in any other GPU you put in a computer. You go and get the drivers, and boom, that's it. After you install your drivers, you have a full-fledged GPU on a virtual machine. So now let's see if we can get some games installed and test out some games. All right, so here's the VM that we made with the pass-through GPU. Let's see what kind of CPU power 48 threads, 24 cores of this CPU, puts down. Let's make sure that, yeah, that's off. And let's start it. Dang. So 28944. So to give you guys some context, this is basically as good in a Cinebench, at least, as a 7900X. That's crazy. It's crazy. So in CPU wise, I think we're doing pretty good. Okay, so this is what you get. Got my computer down there, 2 monitors, 2 sets of keyboard and mice. It's working pretty good. One thing to kind of keep in mind is USB names. So if you have two of the same USB device, if it's named the same, you can't have them both plugged in. I just found that out. So like two sets of those wireless keywords and mice would not work because there's two of them. So that's a little funky. There's a couple ways you can get around stuff like that. Really easy, but so far so good. That's how they perform. Okay, so I have my daughter here. She is playing a game while I'm going to benchmark this one, and I just turned DLSS off and leave the settings all as they come. And we'll hit run, and we will see how well it does. Alright, so here it's going. Dang, that's pretty good. And the reason why I like doing this benchmark is this will tell us how balanced the CPU and GPU is. If it's a CPU bottleneck or a GPU bottleneck, this benchmark will let us know. So I'll let this run, and we'll see the results at the end. Okay, so as you can see from these results in this game, we were 0% GPU bound. So that means the bottleneck here is the CPU. But if you look at the CPU render, you know, it's above what the screen can do, 144 frames. So, you know, not bad at all. It was very smooth, very high frame rate the entire time. So, you know, a minimum of 156 is not bad. The minimum is below what the maximum of the screen can do. So, and I can always just give it more cores, but I don't think that would really help. I think, you know, that's just what you're gonna get because of the single core speed. But it is perfect. She was playing this game the whole time that was benchmarking, and both just smooth as butter. So that's kind of it. I'm gonna wrap it up here, and hope you guys enjoyed this and want to make your own dual computer machine.